So I think we should start. It's already 34. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's Spark. Just for your information, we have 42 people registered to today's Spark. So they might still be joining while we still go on. Before we start, I would like to point out that after the presentation, we will organize a question and answer session, Q&A session. So we encourage you to ask the speaker some questions or give your feedback. You may also write your questions in the chat here on the side. So today we are very pleased to listen to a presentation by Mr. Stefan Resetarits, who is representing Mrs. Barbara Bogacar, Head of Founding Cooperatives today. She's unfortunately not able to join the Spark today. So maybe Stefan, you would like to present yourself before starting with the presentation. We are very excited to hear more about this very current topic and how ÖGV is creating new business opportunities and what you do. So what is your role in the transition to a climate neutral economy? Thank you. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Brigitte. Yes, the obvious fact at first, I'm not Barbara Bogacar. She's responsible for anything setting up renewable energy cooperatives, but I'm nevertheless also involved in the topic, so I'll try to answer any question you have, but I will maybe forward them to Ms. Bogacar, who is very sad she cannot be here today, but urgent duties came in her way. My name is Stefan Resetarits. I'm responsible for sustainable finance, regulatory initiatives, so to say. It's a topic which is very key for me because I have been working for 4 years for ÖGV, which is the Austrian Association of Cooperatives. And some topics of banking regulation were already in place after the financial crisis. Some were in place even before the Republic of Austria. But sustainable finance, this is the topic where regulation started some years ago. And we see it gets every year more regulatory initiatives come into law. And this is like a very vibrant topic. So today, I want to give you an overview what OGV has as a role to finance and to found renewable energy cooperatives in Austria and our partners. And I would like to start with giving you some, so I will be very briefly, some informations about the OGV. Then I would like to introduce the problem, the climate crisis, and how you can maybe convince other people or how I can convince you that we need action. And then I will come to the topic itself, the renewable energy cooperatives, legal background in Austria, and what we do and have as business opportunity. So to start, OGV, located in Vienna, CIBP member. We are a dual system, are the audit organization of our cooperative members, which are credit institutions. You may know Volksbank Vienna, the central institution of the Volksbanks, is also CIBP member, but we are not exclusively the audit organization for banks, but there are also commercial cooperatives, goods, service, production cooperatives. And so we have a connection also between the credit and the real economy sector. Besides the audit organization, we're also the organization for the representation of interest for our members. And that is what I do. It is also separate meaning of the word, but we're something comparable to this. Nevertheless, of course, the person in charge and responsible for auditing our cooperative members cannot give legal advice, for example, to our members. So this is separated. You see here, it is the 4th floor, and then the 3rd floor, so also separated by floors, is the audit section of OGV. As I already said, there is also a duality between our cooperative member. We have credit cooperatives as members of OGV, Volksbank Vienna as CIBP member, and we have commercial cooperatives as members of OGV. Could be breweries, could also be administrative cooperatives for the exploitation of rights for actresses, for example, or could be a cooperative where bakeries come together and have cooperation on certain aspects of the business. As said, every corporate organized as cooperative has to be member of an audit organization. There are 6 in Austria, like 2 very big ones, the Raiffeisen and OGV, and then there are some smaller ones. So every cooperative must be member of one of these organizations. We are the representation of interest. That is what I do on European level with EACB, which some of you may know, especially from France and Germany, and on international level with CIBP. We also, which will be later relevant, give legal and tax advice for our members, both credit institutions and commercial cooperatives. And we have, so to say, the PR activity and want to raise awareness for cooperatives in the society itself. Also finance research in academic research for cooperatives. So just to raise awareness in the society. The problem we face, and one problem, especially in Europe this year, but the other topic relevant for anybody in the world, the climate crisis with all its negative effects on businesses, on natural persons, and on the globe itself. What I want to give you as a message, Europe decided to be the first climate or carbon neutral continent in the world. So to say, if you're not convinced by the necessity to combat the climate crisis itself, it will be done in the EU by this climate law. Means you have a baseline, which is 1990. Then you calculate greenhouse gas emissions, like say CO2, and you have also other greenhouse gases like methane, which you then transform into CO2 equivalents. And the first message I would like to give you, because not many people in Austria, in the EU know this, there are, of course, initiatives already on the way, and greenhouse gas emissions already decreased in Europe significantly. Maybe not in Austria that much, but in the EU itself, it decreased significantly. We are now somewhere below 30%, so decreased nearly up to 30% in the EU until this day. In the same timeline, or in the same time, the GDP of the EU 2.5 times increased. So it is possible to decrease greenhouse emissions, but it is possible at the same time to have economic growth. So people might be convinced by that. Another point people raise when we come with renewable energy, things like that, they say, okay, it convinces me you can grow your economy and decrease the impacts of climate change. But is it really necessary we do it as Europe? We're not a global player anymore. Why do we have to maybe shrink our opportunities while others capitalize on that? That is also not true, I believe, because if you look it up, after the Paris Agreement, nearly every country committed to being climate neutral by 2050. And most of the country really have issued plans how they want to achieve that. Could be countries which you never thought of as a European, like Colombia, or could be Cambodia. All these countries want to do the same as the EU. Even the UK, after leaving the EU, did not drop its climate goals. but even increase them compared to what the EU aims at. This, of course, will require enormous amounts of money, not only from the public sector, but also from the private sector. And this will also be something we try with our renewable energy cooperatives. Also, India and China, although not binding, and although they are greatly increasing their greenhouse gas emissions and continue so for some years, will then peak and will hopefully begin their path to climate neutrality. Second crisis, more relevant, of course, for the EU than the whole globe is, I don't think I need to explain this graph, and everybody is seeing it in the media every day. Sadly, the invasion of Ukraine increased gas and energy prices in general. And the message, nevertheless, is it's better to produce energy in a sustainable way in your country than be dependent on an external player. Because at the moment, what can we as Europe do? We can try to increase our own production of electricity, or we can switch to other parties who may provide us with energy. Would be the Gulf states, which we cannot fully trust to be a partner. Could also mean our partners today in the US. Who knows in 5 or 10 years what will be the political situation there. And on the other hand, it's also somehow climate impacting to transport liquid natural gas from the US to Europe. Better to produce it ourselves. This is the key message also for every country, I think, to be independent from external players. What is now the solution in our opinion from, of course, altruistic standpoint, but also which creates our business opportunity and our business case? OGV is very proud to be one of the institutions mentioned by the EU Commission as being a key player in the social taxonomy. So building a social economy business model. We're not like profit oriented, and also a member to some extent, of course, are no non-profit organizations, but profit is not the main goal of the undertakings. As I said, the Commission, at least for Europe, declared that to reach our carbon neutrality and our decrease pathway, we will need money, enormous amounts. And even though we do spend billions of euros every year, we will need an additional 260 billions yearly. And this cannot come from the state itself. And of course, the state could take the autocratic approach and say, we will give you climate neutrality, or you come up yourself with a free market-oriented solution, and the market will finance this sustainable transition. This is the way the Commission wants to head, at least for Europe. And before I come now to the business case itself, I want just to give you another thought. Anybody could have an idea what the left picture is. It's actually from London in 1858, the Great Stink. You have to see, in Roman times, London had a sewerage, but it did not in Victorian times until later, after the Great Stink, because academics came to the King or the Queen of England, came to the Parliament and said, well, we will need a sewerage and we cannot drink from the Thames and use the Thames to dispose of our waste and feces. And everybody said, okay, from an academic standpoint, we agree, but it's not possible. And you have to think about Victorian England, maybe not so different from today. It was a democracy already. It was no lawless institution, London. So it had its laws, and they said it would be too expensive. It would require taking so many actions. This will not be possible. Then cholera was introduced from India, UK colony, and in the Thameses, cholera flourished in this very hot summer, and there were many people dead. Poor people, rich people were affected, the government was affected, and after some years, after this dramatic event, and we see it also with COVID, maybe as an analogy, of course, it was possible to create the sewerage, and it required enormous amounts of money. And just to get your attention, the seahorse, nowadays, the Thames is a clear river again. And there are even seahorses returned, although it was fish-free because it was basically toxic in the 19th century. So things get better and can get better. What is now Austria's approach? Austria, we have to be honest, failed its climate targets until now. And what did they do? After having a new government, they even increased our climate or carbon neutrality target from 2050 to 2040, meaning Austria aims to be carbon neutral but in just 18 years. Massive amount. With this law, they introduced a new form of corporate, the renewable energy community, which can, it says in the law, operate as cooperative. What is in Germany, in German, it would be EEG. So maybe I will now switch to EEG. It's the Renewable Energy Cooperative or community, could also be another form of legal undertaking. But of course, OGV just founds cooperatives. Consists of a minimum of 2 members, one the producer and one the consumer. Of course, in practice, it will be more, and you can even take both sides. You can be a producer which consumes. Miss Barbara Bogacar drew this slide, let's say, and called this a prosumer, someone who produces energy, could store energy, and also consumes energy. Members of this renewable energy cooperative can be natural persons, so households, can also be legal undertakings, corporations, and can be municipalities. So if the whole municipality comes together with its buildings and a corporation with some households, they can found a EEG, respective renewable energy cooperative. All these players have to be in close proximity to another. Could be that the electricity, or could also be organic gas. So you could also set up an renewable energy cooperative for the production of organic gas. That's also what the cow indicates here, or the livestock. And they are then connected to the electricity market or are connected directly. So one produces and one consumes energy. And of course, all parties can also store energy. And this is the model Austria really wants to promote. They aim for 1 million private electricity producers until 2040. And this is a lot, must be nearly every household. So that's the high ambition we have. What is now the benefit of forming this as a cooperative? It's low foundation cost, especially compared to a limited. You don't have these all requirements, formal requirements, are very flexible. It can be founded by only 2 members, and it's necessary that it's open to more members as a cooperative in general, and new members can join easily and free of charge, meaning the members of the management body have to approve it, you have to apply, then you're a member of the renewable energy cooperative. Also, compared to a limited company, you would have to find replacement, or you would have to sell your share. Not with the cooperative. You just terminate your membership and will be paid back your cooperative share because it has no fixed like minimum capital. And mandatory revision, you're part of, if you do it with OGV, of the OGV, who does your mandatory revision and audit at a lower price. The business case we have come up with in cooperation OGV, who gives the legal advice and does the founding, Power Solution, who is a technical service provider, which will, of course, we are all no technicians and also people working for Volksbank are not, construct and maintain, be it the photovoltaic systems, which produces electricity from the sun, and Volksbank as the third player provides banking product and insurance products. More detail on that. So could be photovoltaic systems is the main application case, but could also be windmills, water plants, or as I already said, organic gas, for example. Power Solution does everything technical and draws up this implementation, has a skilled workforce, which is nowadays, as a result of the energy crisis, really hard to find. So you can buy photovoltaic systems, but you may not be able to construct them and connect them to the energy grid. And thus the communication with the grid operators, because of course it's a European electricity market, you cannot just provide electricity and as you wish, and also submits applications for subsidies because of course with this new legal act, which also created the renewable energy cooperatives, came a great selection of subsidies for undertakings or for also private individuals who want to produce renewable energy. OGV has a startup service, meaning you don't have to pay anything. You come to OGV. This is the responsibility of Barbara Bogacar. This is what she does great. And then helps you with drafting the articles of association. Again, cooperative, very informal. You have your really are free from formal requirements, can draft this tailored to the specific needs of your undertaking, and then also prepares the founding documents and registers the cooperative at the commercial register. So only the founding has to be registered, not then the members, because OGV also offers to do the membership administration for you. You have to keep track of the cooperative members, if they want to join, if they want to leave, anything related to fees, and also does the bookkeeping for the cooperatives, the renewable energy cooperatives. And of course, you save yourself from selecting an external auditor because you're a member of an audit organization who will regularly perform the external audit for this renewable energy cooperative. Volksbank Wien, on the other hand, has a strong connection to OGV, will provide you with the necessary financial means, any banking product you need, and any insurance product you need for setting up the renewable energy cooperative. Yeah, benefit, of course, is, I think, easy to understand. Increased energy and electricity prices make it very attractive to produce your own energy and use your own energy, so to say, with other cooperative members. You have the good, let's say, feeling of protecting the environment with being member of a renewable energy cooperative. And yeah, you don't use fossil energy, so you will also have no emissions. Of course, photovoltaic systems don't emit. It may be different with windmills, which are a concern to some people in the landscape, but at least photovoltaic systems, most people can get behind with and agree with. And of course, we have this now approved model of cooperation between OGV, Power Solution and Volksbank. So there are already 5 renewable energy cooperatives which were founded. 5 are to be founded in the next months. So we have a business case really running and ongoing. And you will be, in times we speak of maybe that the electricity market will fail as a whole. You have some form of independence from big electricity suppliers. And to conclude and to finish, the first renewable energy community, according to this new law, was founded by OGV in a municipality famous for wineries. And it was created with big help from our Ministry of Climate. So you found this cooperatives, and you also have great support from the official side. And member of this is the municipality of this region, and also some private individuals who joined this cooperative. Was last year. As I said, 5 were already founded. 5 are to be founded in the next weeks or months. Yeah, and what are, let's say, the starting cooperative share is just 50 euros. So if you're a private individual and you want to be, let's say, a consumer, you have to pay at least 50 euro. Then you are a member of the cooperative. Then you have to pay, if you're a natural person, also an energy supply fee. So still very cheap, 100 euro, can be a great opportunity for natural persons to reduce their cost for energy. And of course, legal undertakings or the municipality often have many buildings, can get a loan at a good rate, can create a photovoltaic system and produce energy in proximity of the natural persons in this municipality. This is the system we aim for, and this is our also a great business opportunity. As I said, 10 already founded or in foundation, and more to come, hopefully. I think this concludes it. Yeah. So any question, of course, be free to ask, or anything you want to add to this presentation. What are your thoughts? I can answer them if I can, or I will forward them to Ms. Bogaccia, who will surely be able to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefan. Thank you so much. It was very interesting. Before I ask a question, because I have a question, I would like more to hear from our members. If you have a question, or you have some feedback, or you would like to share something with us. You might also write it in the chat if you prefer this option. It's also okay.
If I don't see a chat, but
You don't see a chat?
no, but
It's
you see a
because you're in
chat, then you can read
presentation
it.
mode,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay.
Hello, Stefan.
Yep. Hello,
Valeria
Valeria.
speaking. Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for your interesting presentation. I would ask you a more personal question, as I heard you say that all the initiatives that are being taken, and as you said, if we don't take them ourselves, the laws and the different regulators and institutions in the world will push us to apply them on company level, and then certainly then on personal level. my question to you, as you have been probably in contact with this, working with this, seen OGV, being very active on that field. How has it impacted for the employees within OGV, and how has it impacted to you?
Yeah, I mean, the impact we see in the last years, both from European level and also from national level. And I think also the culture slowly changes to even employees demanding sustainable business model. So yeah, I think it's quite unpopular even now and will be more in the future if you have a business model solely based on fossil fuels, let's say, and do not aim for transition. So I think there's also pressure from employees at OGV. We also started a sustainability project. So meaning every employee could introduce own ideas and was therefore involved into the sustainable transition, which is of course not for financing or something, just our own operations. And this translated into buying and constructing one of the biggest photovoltaic systems in the first district of Vienna. And this was planned like 2 years ago and was set up 1.5 years ago. And it already paid off, I think, didn't pay off yet, but is greatly reduced the time of getting back what we invested because energy prices are that high. So it was the complete right decision to do this and also to be independent from the electricity market in some way.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your answer. And indeed, I think that it's great to see how you join forces and you think of an idea that is makes sense, and then that at the end it also is rentable. How do you say it? It compensates economically. But the first step is how to do something together, right? And then to be an example of change. And then when an idea is right, it compensates economically. Normally, it equilibrates, right? So thank you for sharing this example, Stefan.
Thank you.
Stefan, I also have a question. On slide, I think it was slide 19, you were talking about this special region in Austria. If you could go back. Yes, exactly. Just to understand, or maybe to get it in my mind, how long does it take for this to be, how long does it take to how do I explain this? To have this, support from ÖGV and to implement this project?
Well, I think it needs proper preparation with all the members who want to set up the renewable energy cooperative. But from OGV side, this can be very quick because Ms. Bogacha is really good at what she does. She's a lawyer and she has any expertise you could think of. And she also has expertise for years in the institutions of cooperatives, and she knows how to draft articles of association. She knows what are the let's say, aspects you could have problems with. So she's really quick. I think, so like, as I said, it was set up in 2020, and 1 year later, the first renewable energy cooperative was founded. So it will take some months, but I think you could even do quicker.
Interesting. Okay, thank you for answering this question.
But of course, we could also forward this to Ms. Bogacha, and she will maybe come up with a time frame at
timeline.
minimum,
Yes.
or what she thinks she can do. Yeah.
Okay. Is there anybody else who has a question or a feedback or a comment? No, I think not. Well, Stefan, thank you so very much for being our host today and for presenting this very current topic. I think we should do maybe a follow-up next year again on this, if you agree. Yeah, and thank you everyone for joining today. We will send the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation to you today in English, like the one that was presented today. And if you have any questions later on, and also Stefan, there are some people who could not connect today. They can, you are available for question, and of course, Mrs. Pogacar as well. So,
of course, feel free.
Okay, because the contact is also in the last slide, so for the email addresses and such. So please feel free to get in contact with them directly. But I thank you very much, and I hope to see you next month again for our next Spark. And yeah, wish you a good afternoon and a good morning, depending on where you are. And see you soon.